So we are going to discuss last two verses from chapter 7, and then we are going to go to chapter 8. The last two verses are Etod Bhagavata Sambhavo Karma Daksha Dara Duha Srutam Bhagavata Sisyat Udhaban Me Brihaspatihi Etod Bhagavata Sambhavo Karma Daksha Adhara Druha Srutang Bhagavatat Sisyat Uddhavan Me Brihaspatihi. Synonyms. Etat, this, Bhagavatah, of the possessor of all opulences. Sambho, of Sambhu, Lord Shiva. Karma, story. Daksha Adhvara Druhaha, who devastated the sacrifice of Daksha. Srutam, was heard. Bhagavatat, from a great devotee. Sisyat, from the disciple. Uddhavat, from Uddhava, me, by me, Brihaspati, of Brihaspati. Translation. Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, I heard the story of the Daksha Yajna, which was devastated by Lord Shiva from Uddhava, a great devotee and disciple of Brihaspati. The next one, 61. Idam pavitram param isa chesitam yashasyam ausham aghahuga marshanam yo nityadya akarnya nara anukritya dhuranti agham kaurava bhakti bhavataha idam pavitram param isa chesitam yashasyam ausham anugha marshanam yo nityadya akarnya nara anukrityat dhunati agham kaurava bhakti bhavataha. Word by word meaning. Idam, this. Pavitram, pure. Param, supreme. Isa chastitam, pastime of the Supreme Lord. Yashashyam, fame. Ayushyam, long duration of life. Agho marsharam, destroying the sins. Yah, who. Nityada, always. Akarnya, after hearing. Naraha, a person. Anukritayat, should narrate. Dunati, clears up. Agham, material contamination. Kaurava, O descendants of Kuru. Bhakti bhavataha, with faith and devotion. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace Prabhupada. Translation. The great sage Maitreya concluded, if one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion the story of Daksha Yajna as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, then clearly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence, O son of Kuru. Purport by His Divine Grace. Thus, the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. Next, we are going to the 8th chapter. 8th chapter, the first verse is Maitreya Uvacha Shanaka Adya Nardascha Ruhur Hamsha Aruni Yatihi Naite Grahan Brahma Shuta Hi Avashan Urdhore Tasaha Maitreya Uvacha Sanakadi Naradascha Rubhur Hamsha Aruni Yatihi Naite Grahan Brahmasuta Hi Aswan Urdhore Tasaha. Synonyms. Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Sanaka Adyaha, those headed by Sanaka, Naradaha, Narada, Cha, and Rubhu, Hamshaha, Hamsha, Aruni, Yatihi, Yati, not, Eti, all these, Grahan, at home, Brahmasutaha, sons of Brahma, he, certainly, Avashan, did live, Urdhoritasaha, unadulterated celibates. Translation by His Divine Grace. The great Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumaras, sages, headed by Sanaka as well as Narada, Ribhu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati, and all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhoreta, or Nashtika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. Purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada ki jai. The system of Brahmacharya has been current since the birth of Brahma. A section of the population, especially male, did not marry at all. Instead of allowing the semen to be driven downwards, they used to lift the semen up to the brain. They are called Urdhoretasaha. Those who lift up semen is so important that if by the yogic process one can lift the semen up to the brain, he can perform wonderful work. One's memory is enabled to act very swiftly and the duration of life is increased. Yogis can thus perform all kinds of austerity with steadiness and be elevated the highest professional stage, even to the spiritual world. Vivid examples of brahmacharis who exceeded the principle of life are the four sages Sanaka, Sananana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar, as well as Narada and others. Another significant phrase here is Naite Grahan hi Avashan. They did not live at home. Graha means home, as well as his wife. In fact, home means wife. Home does not mean a room or a house. One who lives with a wife lives at home. Otherwise, a sannyasi or brahmachari, even though he may live in a room or in a house, does not live at home. That they did not live at home means that they did not accept a wife. And so, there is no question of their discharging semen. Semen is meant to be discharged when one has a home, a wife, and the intention to beget children. Otherwise, there are no injection for discharging semen. These principles were followed from the beginning of creation, and such brahmacharis never created progeny. This narration has dealt with the descendants of Lord Brahma from Manu's daughter Prasuti. Prasuti's daughter was Dakshayani or Sati, in relation to whom the story of Daksha Yajna was narrated. Maitreya is now explaining about the progeny of the sons of Brahma. After the many sons of Brahma, the brahmachari sons headed by Sanaka and Narada did not marry at all, and therefore there is no question of narrating the history of their descendants. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुर्मृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपं कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining today for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam sessions. So these days we are discussing fourth chapter, and which is basically creation of the second order. And then we were trying to close this Daksha Yajna part. Last two verses are there. Then we are going to discuss about the further creations, which is by, and in this topic, very beautifully, we are going to talk about Dhruva Maharaj's pastime also. So basically, we are going to discuss, we discussed already about the three daughters. Then now we are going to talk about the two sons, Uttanapada and Priyavrata, and their subsequent creations. So for this beautiful subject matter, my knowledge is very limited, but with all of your guidance and Guru and Gauranga's blessings, would like to glorify this beautiful subject matter on this auspicious day for my own purification. So today is the most auspicious Dasara day. Dasara basically is Vijayadashmi. So Vijayadashmi means is basically is a victory, and there are today is basically 10th day after the Navaratri. So victory of basically it's good over the evil. That's why we celebrate Dasara. So Lord Ram's victory over Ravan that happens on today's date. So the most important narrative is in the battle, Rama, with the support of his brother Lakshmana and Hanuman, he defeated Ravan and he rescued Mother Sita. So this is about the external victory part, which we all are celebrating. There is so many Ravan effigy we are going to burn and so many things, and we celebrate, we eat nice prasadam and go to visit temple and have some celebration at home. But as a sadhaka, we should focus on our internal victory. Internal victory means beyond the external celebration, Dasara also tells us to serve as a reminder as a sadhaka to conquer basically our inner demons. Like demon like Ravana, Kumbhakarna, they are demons, like the Lord Ram conquered them and rescued Mother Sita. So basically, similarly, we have to conquer also our inner demons by cultivating good virtues like truth, courage, and to lead a righteous life. Basically, to have to conquer over the lost anger and greed, these three parts. So that these three demons, basically, we should try to conquer on this. We should try on this special day. We should think in that way, as sadhaka. Now here, last two verses are kind of Fadasruti. Like any chapter, any Vishnu Sahasranam or anything we read, at the end, we have a Fadasruti. Like if we recite this is going to happen. So this is all about here. Maitreya Muni is saying that I have heard the story about the Dakshashankar, which was devastated by Lord Shiva from Uddhava, which is a great devotee and disciple of Brihaspati. Then later on, he's saying that if one hears it and narrates it with faith and devotion, the story of Dakshashankar, as it was conducted by Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared up all the contamination of material existence. He's telling like this. He's basically advising like this. So this is basically in the third chapter, from the 12th canto onwards, we're discussing about the Visarga. Visarga basically is the secondary creation of Brahma. Like first, Brahma was created, then Brahma was given the task of further, following up on the secondary creation. So Brahma is working on that. Then part of secondary creation is creation of the Manus and the others. Then what happened? Brahma created the Kumaras. Kumaras mean there are four Sajas: Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar. But they decided to stay as brahmacharis. As here in the next, in the beginning of the 8th verse, it says that they accepted the principle of perfect celibacy, and that's why they did not get married, and there was no kids from them. So there was no further generations from these Kumaras. There is no creation. Then after that, Brahma created Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva's, like this, for the creation also did not work. And now we discussed about the Daksha Yajna, how Daksha was, Prajapati was, and here was conducting, and there was a conflict between Lord Shiva, Sati, and Daksha. So after that, this Yajna was not, not went through, and finally Lord Vishnu came to complete it. So then after this, Lord Shiva's creation through Lord Shiva did not work. Finally came Manu and Satarupa. Brahma created Manu and Satarupa. From the Manu and Satarupa, basically creation further for the progenies came, and the creation was going further. From Manu and Satarupa, they have 3 daughters and 2 sons. The 3 daughters were Devahuti, Prasuti, and Akuti. Then Uttanapada and Priyavrata. So earlier we discussed about Devahuti and Kardamuni in the 3rd canto. In the second half, we discussed about Kardama and Devahuti. And then later on, towards the 4th canto, first chapter, I believe, we completed about Kardama, Devahuti, and Kapila Muni Shambha. So from Kardama and Devahuti, Supreme Personality of Godhead also, as Kapila Muni also appeared. Then Akuti got married to Prajapati Ruchi. From them, the kids were Yagya and Dakshina, and they were basically partial expansion of Lakshmi and Narayan. And that they have 12 sons. They are basically Tushitas. They are considered as Devatas. Then Prasuti. Prasuti got married to Daksha, and they had 16 daughters. From them, we discussed about all the daughters got married, and Sati got married to Lord Shiva. She left, and we discussed here that how she left her body, and because of the conflict in this last chapter, in this last couple of weeks. And now the next thing is Maitreya Muni is going to discuss about the sons, how the dynasty of the sons are, like they're taken further, they help further in the creating the next in subsequent generations. So there are 2 sons now, Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Now in this topic, we're going to discuss about Uttanapada's dynasty. So from after 6 or 7 verses, we're going to discuss about Uttanapada's dynasty. So if we see that in each of the dynasty, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he appeared as a personal incarnation. First, he appeared as Kapila from Devahuti, then Yagya from Akuti, then from Narnarayan Rishi from Prasuti and Daksha, and then finally we see Prithu and Rishabdev will also take part. Will also appear from the generation of Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Now here, Prabhupada is focusing on brahmacharya. So brahmacharya means maintaining basically celibacy. If we are doing a devotional service or practicing devotional service, brahmacharya basically earlier days it was says, or even today also, it's a fundamental principle. It's a powerful energy. So there is a verse we always say, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So Brahma Jigyasa means to inquire about the supreme subject matter, which is Brahma, and that requires a qualification. That qualification is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya basically is austerity, maintaining a disciplined life, abstaining from overeating, overdoing a lot of things, like eating. They say that for us, they for a common people, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are there, right? So as a brahmacharya, basically, one person basically he controls all those things. So brahmacharya basically is a shield for putting a war against the internal asuras. Like earlier we discussed about lust, anger, and greed. So brahmacharya basically is a shield for waging in war against the internal asuras. We are lust, anger, and greed. It serves basically a gateway to the bliss beyond. It opens the door for the spiritual world if we are if we are basically including into devotional service. Brahmacharya doesn't only mean that one is wearing a saffron cloth and moving around and doing all other kind of illicit work. It's not only it's an outer thing. Brahmacharya basically is an internal thing. Internally, how we are controlling your mind, how are you controlling your thoughts, how we are controlling your bodily activities. If all these things are controlled, then what next? How to engage all these things with the supreme energy, with the help, with basically basically it's dedicated to a supreme energy. So when we are abstracting all these things, our basically inner mental power, strength, everything basically gets increased. And in that case, what we do? Either we can do in a good way or in a bad way. So good way means we have to basically use it as a service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see in the scriptures also, Hiranyakashipu also was doing austerities. He was also going to forest and doing all these tapashyas and all those things, also maintaining a strict, renounced life and do meditation to Brahma. So what is the difference? He was doing the meditation to Brahma and everything, and at the end, what was he doing? His result basically he was using how to trouble Supreme Personality of Godhead and creating all kind of havoc. So that's not what we want. So brahmachari basically is basically maintaining your inner austerity and utilizing that for a devotional service. So in Atharva Veda, there is a beautiful quote is there. The brahmacharya tapasya deva mrityum upaganta. So the Atharva Veda declares that brahmacharya and penance, by these two activities, devatas have conquered the death. And in scripture also we see examples of Hanuman, Bhishma, Lakshman, and here practical example here also Prabhupada also giving about the 4 Kumaras and Narada Muni. They all were brahmacharis and practical examples. Hanuman, we know like how much strength he was. Like they say that brahmachari, he is there, he is always active and even at the deathbed also. You can see from the examples of Pitama Bhishma. Pitama Bhishma, he throughout he was maintaining a celibate life and he fought from the Kaurava side. He was an instrumental in Mahabharata war in setting of Lord's prominence of the Dharma. And at the end, when he is in the deathbed, in the arrows, on the top of the arrows, he's having so much pain, but he has the power and the ability to tolerate that pain. And in that pain also, when Krishna is getting Yudhishthira, he basically advising Yudhishthira about the Rajadharma. And to that to hear that, all the important personalities, they also came to hear that. And we can imagine like when you are in a deathbed, how your voice is there, you don't want to talk, but discouraged and everything. But Pitama Bhishma, at that stage of life, he was also active and he was also doing, you can say that Harikatha or devotional service at the time. And Lakshman also we see a practical example also. So now Dasara time, so we'll very soon are going to discuss about Lakshmana's pastime and how he was maintaining his brahmacharya life or celibacy life during the 14 years of exile. 14 years of exile. So this, we can say that basically here Prabhupada talks about one nice thing he talks about Urdhva Shaha. So Urdhva Shaha means just give me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah. A section of the population, especially male, did not marry at all. Instead of allowing the semen to be driven downwards, they used to lift the semen to the brain. They're called Urdhva Saha, those who lift up. Semen is so important that by the yogic process, one can lift the semen up to the brain. He can perform wonderful work. One's memory is enabled to act very swiftly, and the duration of life is also increased. So here we can take an example of a lamp, and in the lamp in earlier days, you see the wicks are there. In the bottom part, there is oil is there, and with the help of the oil, what happens? The wick basically takes the oil, and there is a knob is there. In the knob, if we twist it, the wick basically it goes up, and if we put a matchstick, the wick basically glows and gives us light. So this the semen or the period, which is basically the creative energy which is flowing in the body, if it is engaged in a proper way, instead of going down like the wick, the oil is going up. Similarly, it can go up and it can help in understanding the things better, or in a doing a proper creative energy way, it can go to the brain and it can help over there. So you can understand why it is needed, why the brain power is more needed. So in material, let's take an example of the material world. In material world, we see there are managers are there and the workers are there. There will be construction building will be there. A worker will be working very hard. He will be carrying lot of stuff in his head and doing all the work, and will be doing all the work. But the manager is basically, if you see, he is paid more than the worker. Because why? Because the managers basically they have the creative energy. Sometimes if somebody is coming and asking you all the times, what is going to do next? What is going to do next? Then sometimes you get irritated. You tell that this person is not thinking anything on his own, and all the time he's coming and asking me. So returning from all these lost anger, greed, and all these other activities, a brahmachari basically he engages all his creative energy in the service of Lord. So Dhanvantari basically he is considered as the master of Ayurveda. Once the basically Dhanvantari was teaching the details of Ayurveda to his disciples, then one of them inquired about what is the keynote of the medical science. Then Dhanvantari replied that brahmacharya is basically a true precious jewel. It is the one most effective medicine, nectar indeed, which destroys disease, decay, and death. For attaining peace and brightness, memory, knowledge, health, and self-realization, one should observe brahmacharya, which is the highest dharma. Brahmacharya is the highest knowledge, brahmacharya is the greatest strength, and brahmacharya can also undo all inauspicious signs. And a true the true brahmachari basically is one who has basically conquered basically his thought, his word, and his actions. By doing that, what happens? He had a good, by maintaining celibacy, what happens? He had a good vichara sakti. By that, you can inquire, like we say, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, right? We will inquire. After inquiring, what is happening? Basically, we are inquiring so many things and we are not returning anything. And if somebody is maintaining celibacy, then the dharana sakti or the power of grasping also increases. Power of grasping and holding the truth also increases. Then what happens? Then one becomes more confident, and his memory power, everything also increases. So that's why in the scripture there is a lot of emphasis on maintaining celibacy. And what happens? We see in the example of Pitamaha Bhishma that he has the acute memory also even in the old days. Now since Dasara time is there, let's talk a little bit about Lakshman. Like in the war of Ramayana, we see there are three prominent figures. One is Indrajit, and then another is Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Ravana and Kumbhakarna was killed by Lord Ram, and Indrajit was killed by Lakshman. So in fact, Indrajit was more powerful. His original name was Meghnath, but he was basically called as Indrajit. Why? Because he has killed Indra, like the demigod, chief of the demigod. He has killed earlier Indra, and he has basically captivated Indra earlier, and he in the war he defeated Indra and he tied Indra and he got it. He got it to his father. Then Brahma came, and there was a discussion, and Brahma then they discussed that if Lakshman is then if Indrajit is going to let Indra free, there should be some condition. The condition is what? That Indrajit wanted to be immortal. But then Brahma told, no, it's not fair. Nobody can be immortal. Then Indrajit or Meghanath, he requested that there should not be any person to kill him, and if any person is to kill him, any man is going to kill him, basically he should be a celibate for 14 years. He should not be eating, he should not be sleeping, and he should not be having any physical association, or he might not have seen any woman's face. So Indrajit thought that this is very difficult. Now, when Lord Ram went to exile, Mother Sumitra basically he asked Lakshman to accompany Lord Ram, and when Lakshman and he told her son that you always be, like you're in the forest, Ram and Sita are going, and you try to be always to be alert, so that there won't be any demon or any monster is going to create any trouble to my Ram and Sita. So Lakshman took these words very seriously. He followed his mother's words, and when they were coming, they were in the exile for 14 years. Lakshman basically was constantly in alert that nothing should be basically affecting Lord Ram or Mother Sita. So for when after when this war was going to be taking place, then it was very difficult to kill Indrajit. So in fact, the war went on for 3 days. Everybody worried what happened. Why it's not like Indrajit, it is very difficult to conquer this person. Then Bibhishana told to Lord Ram that only Lakshmana can kill him, because he has got a boon. That's for 14 years, if somebody is maintaining the celibacy life, like not eating or not sleeping for 14 years, or not seeing any woman's face for 14 years, then only he will be killed by that kind of person. So then then basically when Lakshmana went to fight, then finally Indrajit was killed. Then when Lord Ram asked this question, was meditating how this happened, then Lakshmana replied that last 14 years he did not sleep. When Indra Devi came to put him to sleep, he requested Indra Devi to let him not sleep and do Lord service for 14 years. Then Lord Ram inquired for it not eating. He told, yes, for 14 years you have given me prasadam packets, but I have kept those prasadam packets in Chitrakoot, one tree. You asked me to take, but not to eat. So I have saved them. I have conquered by the blessings of Acharyas not to eat. Then he told, you did not see any woman's face. He told the brother, just remember when Sugriva got so many jewelries of Mother Sita, you asked me, and I was looking at it, and there are so many jewelries are there. I could not I could not identify anything, but there is only one anklet is that I could identify, because of when I was doing morning prayers of Mother Sita and you, I was only looking at Mother Sita's lotus feet. So from that we can imagine how austere and how celibate life Lakshman has, and because of that, Lakshman was, like he was able to kill Meghnath or Indrajit. So maintaining brahmacharya life is very important as described in our scriptures. As a grihastha, maintaining brahmacharya life means there are certain, that means, we have to control our thoughts. It's not like suppressing. Our mind can go here and there. By maintaining celibate from taking our mind to here and there, we should focus on our mind on Krishna service. And this is only possible by reading more and more books. Basically, the energy we have to engage that energy in a positive way by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, so that it got diverted in a proper way. Like in Bhagavad Gita, the word is that param dusha nivartate. If we get a higher taste, then maintaining all these things, all these good things, good virtues will be very easy. So with this, would like to end today's discussion. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prem Sir Radhika Mataji. We would like to wish everybody happy Dasera and happy Vijayadashmi. We'll like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री नृसिंह जय नृसिंह जय जय नृसिंह प्रहलादेश जय पद्म मुख पद्म भृंगम उग्रवीर महाविष्णु ज्वलंतम सर्वतोमुखम नरसिंहम भीषणम भद्रम नित्यम नित्यम नमामि हम। नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय।
जय।
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas.
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिंधु
कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय।
और प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल।
हरि बोल। थैंक यू प्रेम सर और माता जी। शुभ विजयादशमी टू एवरीवन। हरि बोल।
Thank you. Hare Krishna.